Welcome to Totally Talent Podcast by HR.com, your go-to source for all things talent. Whether you're looking for expert insights on high-volume hiring, the latest trends in recruitment technology, or strategies for building a winning team, we've got you covered. Join us for each episode as we dive deep into the challenges and opportunities shaping the talent landscape today. Let's get started.
Hey friends, welcome back to a continued edition of Totally Talent. I'm your host, Mike Wood. You'll see I have Stephen McGrath here again because I just can't get rid of the guy.
Sorry,
But
everybody.
we wanted to have another conversation because there's even more to talk about with the AI, with the Eightfold lawsuit that we talked about earlier. So, like as we had mentioned in our last episode, Eightfold was sued based on their proprietary algorithm that takes candidates and basically predicts whether they're going to be a fit or not. So I'm very glad to have Stephen back here. Stephen, you reached out and you said, wait, there's more to talk about. What else can we talk about?
Yeah, so look, I think when we've had our first conversation a week ago, right? Something like that, wasn't it? So the amount that has happened since then and the amount that has come out since then, really about how the technology works, which if anybody's listened to the first, part of this, I was not giving anybody any credit for, right? Like I certainly was like, I'm not sure that the technology does what it says it does. That's just from experience in building it and experience from seeing demos. I think that it's very rare that anybody infusing AI into a system actually does everything that it says it does. However, what I've since realized is it maybe didn't do what I thought it did, but it actually did something entirely different. And I can't think of any other word than worse. Like it does something way worse than what I thought was, there. What I thought was there was keyword matching, 2 job profiles, candidate ranking, throw a bit of AI in there in the mix in terms of like, this is what a good profile looks like. Here's other people that can do that job. What I was not expecting, and this is what's come out in the kind of past week or so, is really the like inference and, the profiling of like, because someone has X and Y on their record. That's not even a CV, by the way. It could also be, or a resume. Sorry, Americans. That could also be public record, and it could be, what that's what goes against you. I'm mind blown. I genuinely mind blown. I can't. I don't know. You talk, because I need somebody else to say.
So I've So Eightfold, I've been a fan of Eightfold for a long time. But I look at it as a lens from the industry. I look at it at the branding. I love that the data that they're able to pull up has long been great. It's been a great window into hiring. But what I never really understood was the predictions that it makes on people, and that's where I think you get tripped up. So in the U.S., and I know it's stricter in GDPR companies, but in the U.S. we have credit scores, and so when you go to apply for a loan or you get a mortgage, you get a basis of these 3 credit reports that is all public knowledge. You pretty much know where your credit score is. But if there's a derogatory mark on your report, let's say, so for example, there was I had one JetBlue credit card or something like that I missed a minimum payment on years ago, and it was flagged in my report as a delinquency. And I had no idea until I applied or until I was going through the mortgage stuff. And I was able to get that expunged because it was just a little one-time thing. Like I missed the auto pay, or I didn't pay the minimum or whatever. But I had no idea that was my scarlet letter hanging on me for forever. And so like, you have to let people know where they stand and be able to appeal. That's just decency. You can't, the problem that Eightfold has fallen into is predicting whether someone will be a success, in not just based on their data and some of the, like, it's proprietary. You have no idea. Like, I would love for them to take a look at me 10 years ago and tell me where I should be as an employee, because it's completely different than where I am now. Like, careers aren't, start and stay at the same line. So it's just, I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but like things change. You can't just attach a label to somebody.
Absolutely. I agree. Look, socially and economically, I am not meant to be a top candidate for anything. I'm from a
Don't
fairly
forget your
rubbish part of
looks.
Glasgow.
No, looks is in there
Yeah, I
too.
know. Well, that's the only thing that has excelled me in my positions, Mike, has been my brilliant good looks and my Glasgow style. But the reality is that, like, socially and economically, I am from a really poor area in Glasgow. Doesn't have a high life expectancy still in this day and age. I'm from a country that doesn't like to see people do well. I've lasted 5 months at some employers that I've been at. I was just essentially, I left school without any qualifications at all, really, any that matter. And I barely went to high school, let alone pass any exams. So I think, like, the reality is that if I was being profiled into my future role or what I'm going to be suitable for, there's no way that if an algorithm was in charge of that it would put me in the career path that I've gone on to do, and put me in the position that I've been in now. And I think that's what's really scary, and that's what's kind of like, it's not a peek behind the curtain at the technology. That's just the bit that nobody is really talking about. And I still, there's data maps out there, and there's about 155,000 podcasts in the past 2 weeks about this very topic. And I'm still not actually that much clearer about what exactly happens, from a point of view of what makes, what decisions does that drive? How much of an impact does it have? How does that display on the dashboard, for kind of candidate ranking? What what I kind of worry about, right, is, did that just sound really cool to say? And we don't actually do it, and we can't actually do it. And we're now going to end up in real trouble because we've just lied about that, to all our customers. Or can we do it, and we should end up in real trouble for candidates? And that's a really interesting kind of, fork in the road for me. Is like, either you do it, and
So
wow, you should not be. On you go.
yeah, so it's I look at it as, like, it's really great for the hiring managers to be able to put people in boxes like this and be able to say, okay, these are the ones that are most likely to succeed. These are the ones I'm going to go forward with. But if you're the candidate and you're in that like reject pile and you don't know about it, that's a problem, because you
Yes.
could be applying to a bunch of different jobs that are using the same Eightfold software that is going to knock you out no matter what you do. It's going to
Yeah.
assume that, like, for example, when I was first laid off a couple of years ago, it had nothing to do with me. I was
Yeah.
working for this company, Dynatrace, and they wanted a different skill set and they were going in a different direction. And so that's, it was okay. This is a decision that they want to make organizationally. It wasn't necessarily anything I did, but Eightfold would be looking at my resume and saying, okay, he only lasted for this amount of time at this job. There must be something wrong with
Yeah. Yeah. And, and look, for me, living where I live, that is a legal minefield. That is a real legal minefield. We all know GDPR exists. We all know the various different states in America that have passed similar laws to that. But we are extremely strict in Europe about what you can and can't do. And I actually think that it is illegal. Like, when I look at it, in black and white, from GDPR laws to what is being delivered from that technology patent, that data map that they put out around, how they're doing everything, that would not be allowed. So either you need to omit that part of it, which would be fine, right? Or you have to have what you say, right? The ability for somebody to basically raise a grievance and say, hold on a minute, why am I rejected for this, and what's happened? unfortunately, those people are also being rejected for jobs left, right, and center from everywhere right now because the economy is, a giant pile of nonsense. I don't think I can say the word I want to say, but yeah. So I think for me, like
No, that's pretty good.
there is there is a real legal question mark from where is the lawsuit taking place? Is there a certain state or something that I forget when I looked at it before. Do you know the
Yeah, it's
answer to that?
California. And I know that, yeah, it's California, and it's because of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is something that I believe is nationwide, that if you have a credit report, there may be stipulations
Yeah.
that are more towards California, but if you have a credit report that's going to judge you, it's your right to be able to see that and to be able to dispute it and
Okay.
appeal
Yeah.
or anything like that. I think what this is really kind of, this is the same problem that people had, that minorities had buying houses years ago, and they probably still
Yeah.
have the problem here. People would see, or a lender would see a minority or something, and they would look at their data, which says that minorities, are is a riskier play based on like
Yeah.
entire countries worth of information or something. So like in their own data, they say, oh, this is a riskier play, when it's not really the truth, and it's perpetuating this bias because they're
Yes.
saying,
Absolutely.
they're just be like, okay, so we're not giving. So they made laws against that. Like, so this has
Yeah.
to be illegal.
Yeah. Well, like you
So
actually said a really good. You said a really good thing there, which is compounds the bias, right? And if that
yes.
data is consistently recycled and is consistently making decisions on people based on, okay, Stephen McGrath has 2 layoffs on his file, that means bad. Mike Wood has 1, that means okay. Someone else has none, that means great. And it just keeps going that. And then what does it start doing then? Does it start looking and going, okay, well, everybody with 2 is now bad, and everybody with 1 will put it at 50%? What that's the part that concerns me as well, is not just the immediate decision making of, let's put a square peg in a square hole and that should be it. And we'll pretend like we're doing all this nuance, but actually it's just a bias scoring against people, that should not have that. If it's learning from itself consistently, that's a real scary thing as well. That means potentially thousands of people have lost out on opportunities um, because a system has decided that they're not good enough to do that.
It's almost like stereotyping job seekers in mass. So you're
100%
taking
is
this type of
stereotyping.
person who has this experience, and this is a stereotype. No, don't give this guy the job because people like him do X, Y, and Z. And it's
Yeah.
so funny. Like what I want to know is, and I'm pretty sure Eightfold does this, is do they redact information for their hiring managers? That's a basic bias thing. Redact the name, redact the age, any of that stuff. Because if they're redacting it, but yet they're going outside of their own system to find this information, it's still creating a problem.
Yeah, well, look, you can redact everybody's name, and whatever an age if you want. But if you built that entire scoring model based on whether they, live in the Bronx in New York, and they have a certain kind of qualification versus somebody that went to Harvard, like if you're making a whole bunch of biases at the back end and then just presenting it in a nice, pretty envelope on the front end of like, hey, we didn't do any of that. That doesn't matter. Like it's crazy to me. I feel really, really strongly about this. Like I feel really, I think that we have, as somebody that is, building technology today with AI included in it, we don't have any candidate data, so that's not a concern for me. But like, if you are going to do it ethically and do it responsibly, and do it in a way that like, if you have to answer to somebody, you can explain. If you had to stand in front of a job seeker tomorrow and explain how your system works, and they can walk away from that conversation feeling like they'll have the right kind of opportunities and they were given a fair share, That's how things should be built. That we shouldn't be building things in secret that make decisions about people that they can't control.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like hiring right now, I mean, part of it is the economy, but I think part of it's the systems too, why everything's kind of frozen, is that, we built it up so long that we're keyword matching on a lot of things, and then you get people that can use AI to put those keywords into their own resumes, and now you're just stuck with nothing. But at the same time, you have a whole group of people that are, if the lawsuit probably gets settled at some point, you have a whole group of people that are excluded from the workforce because they have this scarlet letter against them. And
Yes.
so, like,
Yeah.
there's no, and without them knowing, it is
Yeah.
almost like
Uh,
it's the same amount of damage that you could have a former colleague that you think is a friend or something like that, that is just trashing you around the industry, and you have no
yes.
idea. And it's the same thing. You could have
Yeah.
basically this company has found someone that's saying a bad thing about you and has elevated it into now that's your narrative.
Yeah. Yeah. But could probably do it at a much bigger scale, which is terrifying, right? Like if that the layers that we're implementing in technology, that could be a much bigger scale. Job seeking is already hard enough. Look, people that are in TA teams are complaining that candidates are using AI. Surprise, surprise. That's what they need to do to try and get ahead, because we in the industry have been building technologies and systems that use it or don't use it and say we use it, for like 5 to 10 years, with things like this baked into it. Like, what? Nobody stands a chance if you've got that baked into something. Particularly not the people that deserve it. So for me, empower. Let's make 2026 the year of truths, shall we? Let's make that the
Yeah.
truth from the candidate point of view. What can we do? What can we really bring to a company? And truth from a company point of view, we really want to know what you can bring to us, and make it more about the people than it is about how they score or benchmark against criteria. By the way, criteria is biased anyway, because somebody made it up. Like, it didn't just happen. Like, it doesn't just happen. Somebody decided what it was. One person or two people in a room decided that's what the criteria was, and that's got their bias on it. So if you're implementing that from the get-go, we're starting on a shaky peg, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think,
Well, and
let's
don't
make it
and,
the
and
year of
you
truth.
also want to yeah, you wanna take a step outside of the box and think, like you mentioned, like you were someone that got into recruiting, and got into working, but didn't finish school, and I know a ton of people like that, that are out in their I know a guy that's he just retired as the chief of fire, and for years, they wouldn't give him the promotion to chief. He had earned it, he had been a staple in the community because he didn't have that degree. When he's like, "I
Yeah.
don't like, I could teach the class if I got this degree."
Yeah.
And so, like, sometimes
Yes.
you have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
look beyond some of those things and just
Eh,
I don't know. I think the whole
I,
value of a 4-year degree is tanking anyway, but, it's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But
finding out
look, I,
outside of
I was 19 years old when I first worked in recruitment, worked for a recruitment agency. Hadn't left school with no meaningful qualifications. So, some high school qualifications, but nothing major. Certainly hadn't gone to university. And I was phoning and on the phone and making decisions about oil and gas engineers working for some of the biggest companies in the world, who demanded a degree. And I had to tell Sarah Silverstone or John Smith that they weren't right for the job because they didn't have a degree, but they had 20 years experience. And I'm just a guy with nothing on the end of the phone making those decisions because that's the decisions I was told to make. Like, and that's the human version of this, right? The human version of this, which is you're told to set out a criteria, make decisions, rank people against X, Y, and Z. You go about, add your own bias to it, and then bring back a delivery, model back to the recruiter or to the hiring manager. It essentially has scaled up, human bias, which I think, correct
Mhm.
me if I'm wrong, is the very thing it's trying not to do. Yeah, I think that's the point of these
But
things. Is we're trying
think
not
about it.
to do it.
If you had if you had a hiring manager on your team that was constantly looking at resumes, so you're getting them all these resumes and stuff, and the guy's looking through it and he's like, "Oh, this person, he's jumped around, he's making assumptions and stuff." That's bias. So you're trying to get rid of that,
Absolutely.
and now you just put it into
Yeah,
scale.
yeah. Yes, absolutely. That is correct, right? Like, or well, wait a minute. In Glasgow in the kind of 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we would have people not employ people based on the football team that they supported, right? Now that's public information for most people. That is public information based, and by that I mean soccer. Again, sorry everybody. But
No, it's all right. You can call it
that
football.
is yeah, okay, that's fine. So, like the information that is available, that will be on some people's public profile. So, what if it? Imagine the world where that was a literally don't hire this person because they support Rangers or Celtic or whoever, and it's like, okay, well, if that's public information, I can essentially take that and just scale it up and just be like, okay, well, we're never going to serve anybody that does X at 100% because that person says no. That's what we've done, right? Or that's what Eightfold have done. It's not what I've done. It's what Eightfold have done. I just
I'm
need to say
really
that
looking
very clearly.
forward to yeah. I'm really
Yeah,
looking forward to what the end outcome is for this because I think
yeah.
it's got to reverberate across the whole system about every vendor that's out there doing something similar. So yeah, I'm
Yes.
very interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, and I think
So
it's a
Steven,
lesson for
I have a question for
all
you.
people as well. Yeah.
All right, where do you think this is going to go? Put on your future telling hat for a minute.
Where do I think it's going to go? Look, I think we're going to see a resurge in the importance of humanity in hiring. I don't think that we'll see that with all roles, but I certainly think that we'll see it with white collar jobs and things like that. I think the connection of humans will become more important when we've got AI interviewing AI and AI writing with AI applications and bots trying to apply for 7,000 jobs at the same time. So I think there will be a resurgence in human connection. I do think AI will continue to drive down the low impact factors. So, i.e., admin work, data entry, stuff that you shouldn't really be spending your time doing, and hoping to, allow you to spend more time qualifying people, speak to people, in our space. But I said, let's make 2026 the year of truth. I think that hopefully is what we're going to see. I think hopefully what we will see is vendors being real about what they can and can't do, um, recruiting teams being real about what their expectations should and shouldn't be about a software and what exactly matters to them, um, and just hopefully coming together in a little bit. Coming together in harmony, coming together in a bit of a way that makes the whole thing kind of, come full circle into being what it was designed to be, which is get people jobs and get the right people jobs, and not just how can we screen out as many people as possible. So that's a bit of a long-winded answer, but I think that's what we'll see.
No, and I agree. I think we are gonna hopefully we are gonna see more transparency and stuff, and it is gonna be. I feel bad that this year it seems like it's already gonna be even harder to get a job. The numbers just came out
Yeah.
this morning that there were only 22,000 private jobs added last month. So you're gonna have more and more people that are
What, in the
desperate that
whole of
they're
the
out of work,
US?
that they don't know where to go. Yeah,
Is that
that's
the
in the
whole of the
U.S.
US?
That's not even look. Yeah, yeah, we're doing
Oh
good over
dear.
here. We got a different
Yeah.
scandal every day. Every day I wake up with anxiety about what happened the night before. This is great. It's
Yeah.
like COVID
You know
all
what I
over again.
did? I made the decision during COVID to not watch the news, and it's the greatest thing I've ever done.
Smart.
I find out about
I
important.
I read
I
too
find out
much.
about important.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
need to unplug. Like
Yeah.
I just need
Yeah.
to and you're talking to a former social media manager that has come to hate social media.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Listen, that's just like all of this technology that we're talking about right now, right? It's not. It's no longer doing what it was designed to do, and do that well. It's grown arms and legs to be something that we can't control, and we need to, as a community, as people, as humans, we need to get a bit of a better grasp on that and really just kind of start directing it properly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think stories like this is why a lot of people in tech and founders and stuff just go move off into the mountains and get rid of tech when they retire because they've just gotten so jaded with it. Hopefully, we can do
Yeah. I
tech
mean,
for good.
yeah,
That's what we need. Tech for
the
good.
hundreds of millions that they might have in their bank account by that point probably helps. But that.
Oh, if I only had a couple million to get everybody to stay away from me, that would be great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Well, Stephen, thanks for reaching out and adding more to this interview. I think this is a fascinating story. It's already shaping up to be one of the top stories of the year, compounded
Yeah.
with what Workday had to deal with last year. That's still happening too. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
well,
We'll see. And I
we
look
can.
forward to seeing you in person. I know you're probably not going to make it to the States for the World Cup. It's probably not worth it, but I'll be rooting for Scotland with you.
Well, that's good. We can meet up in like 3 years when this finally comes to a close and do a part three to this.
I'm interested. I may just go down to this. So, like, the Scotland team is playing at Gillette Stadium, which is probably like 45 minutes south of me. It's where the New England Patriots team plays.
Yeah.
I should just go and see the crop of superstars that the Scotland team is bringing. Like, I bet
Hey, listen,
you
we've
got
got
half of them
some of
have
them
second
now.
jobs. I bet.
Listen, we've
When
got
that-
the best player in the
when the
Italian
Scottish
league.
when the Scottish team orders food, does one of the guys' phones go off and they have to go get it because they're working for Uber too?
Yeah. Is that you introducing bias into the football team?
That is, that's what I did. We've gone full circle. I am biased now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Stephen. It was always
Nice one,
great
man.
talking to you. I'll make you a regular guest.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Speak to you later, man. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to the Totally Talent podcast by HR.com. We hope you find today's episode insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to explore more episodes and discover valuable resources at hr.com/podcasts, where you can listen to all of our podcasts. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and making a difference in the world of talent.